So let me ask you a question. How many of you are not using Google.com? Raise your hands. How many people are not using Google.com today for your personal use? Alta Vista? No? No one? Okay. So everyone's a Google.com user. This is part of our daily lives. This is also part of the lives of your end users. They're all using Google.com every day. It's become like an invisible technology. They don't even think about it. So why don't we have Google.com for enterprise? In other words, why can't we search for information to do our jobs in the same way? That's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Richard Achee. I'm responsible for Google Enterprise Search in Asia. And what I do is I spend time with partners and customers to look for the opportunities for applying the technology from Google.com to the problems of search, both for the public intranet as well as the intranet. And so first, let's look at the Google.com experience. And I'll ask you a bit of a quiz, but you don't have to shout out an answer. Just think of it in your head. Let me ask you, what percentage of people click on the first page of results on Google.com? So the first page of results on Google.com are the top 10 results. So imagine in your head, try to picture the number. What percentage of people click on the first page of results on Google.com? How many of you would say more than 80%? Okay. How many of you would say over 90% are clicking on the first page? Oh, okay. It's actually 94%. 94% of people click on the first page of Google.com. So we talk about relevance, and that's what we mean. It means getting the answer to your question in that first page of results. Another trivia question for you. How many words do you think go into a Google search? So how many terms do people type into the Google search bar? And again, picture the answer in your head. Would you say it's 5 items or less? Okay. How many would say less than 4? Okay. It's actually 2. People type in 2 words on average into Google.com to do a search. So you're getting highly relevant results in a split second, getting your answer in the top 10 results, 94% of the time, and you're doing that with 2 words. So what's going behind that? Well, what's amazing about Google.com is of the 100 billion queries that are done every month, 30% of them are new. So that takes an incredibly powerful algorithm, a self-learning algorithm, to be able to interpret those queries, to be able to make suggestions, and then to be able to deliver highly relevant results. And with the Google.com algorithm, uses 200 different signals. An example of a signal would be if a user clicks on a link, but then it refines their search and types a different word, that might be a signal that that particular result was not relevant. Or if they click on that and then download the item or stay on that web page, that's a signal that it might be very relevant. Other examples would be how recent the particular item is, the article is. So these are examples of different signals that we use to determine what is most relevant, what should be on those top 10 results. And this algorithm is being improved every day, over 500 different improvements over the course of a year. Now, so what's the experience inside a company? Most organizations today have a major challenge with enterprise search. And this challenge is just getting worse as time goes on, because every year there's 61% of growth in enterprise data, according to Forrester. And so what you have today with most organizations is they probably have a mix of built-in search in their different applications. So they're using things like SharePoint and Documentum and databases and file shares. And they have some sort of built-in search. That normally doesn't work too well. It's normally built by a company that doesn't really focus on search as a business. So what people do is they end up wasting a lot of time searching either in built-in search or some other alternative search product. And what that can mean to an organization is a huge waste of time. According to IDC, 38% of a knowledge worker's time is wasted searching for information and recreating content. And the way it breaks down is this. And imagine your users right now. You can imagine in your own jobs a similar phenomenon. About 8% of their time, on average, a half day a week for a knowledge worker, is spent searching for information. They'll search on the different systems, and they'll fail, and they'll get frustrated, and then they'll go and try to find information another way. What they'll do is they'll spend about 21% of their time, about a day a week, gathering information. They'll be talking to the other experienced people in their team, and they'll be getting information from those people because they couldn't find it on the systems. Then the worst part is they spend another 9% of their time, roughly, again, about a half day of a knowledge worker's week, recreating content. And think of this, whether people in your organization start to have these sorts of complaints or have been having these sorts of complaints. You may have heard this before. Things like, I can't find information anywhere. It's impossible to find information. Information is stuck in people's heads. And there's duplicate copies of information everywhere. If you think about that, that doesn't really make sense. If there's duplicate copies of information, it shouldn't be impossible to find it. If there's duplicate copies of information that shouldn't be stuck in people's heads, the problem is they're going through the process. They're trying to find information, they're searching, they're failing, then they're gathering information, and then they're recreating the content. And this is just making this problem worse and worse and worse. So instead, why not just have Google.com on a box? And that's exactly what Google Enterprise Search is. It's an unusual product from Google in that it is a physical device. So it's this funny yellow box that you see here that, for whatever reason, looks like a piece of cheese. We've never figured that out. I think we made a weird branding decision a long time ago, and we stuck with it. You can paint it whatever color you want. So if you want to paint it your own corporate brand, that's totally fine with us, because you own it. It sits inside your data center. It's not a cloud-based solution. And it's integrated with your existing security protocols, so you can have fast, relevant results, both for the public internet as well as your own secure intranet systems. So think of a scenario, and what I always ask people to do when they're trying to think about how relevant this is for their business is I would ask them to think about your most mission-critical processes and your most mission-critical users. So if you're a bank, for example, your most mission-critical process might be customer service, and therefore your most mission-critical users might be relationship managers and call center staff. If you're a telco, it might be a different set of users. It might be more like maintenance to make sure you have people who have the right information to maintain your infrastructure. And your field technicians might be your most mission-critical user. So it'll depend on your organization. So think about those people and think about what they need to do to get really quick responses to questions to do their jobs. If you talk about a call center, if I'm receiving an inbound call in a call center, I have lots of different information I need to get for that call. I need the customer information. I need to know about products and policies. I need to know the answers to the frequently asked questions. So it means I'm normally putting a customer on hold and then searching a bunch of different systems and then sometimes having to call them back. So instead of doing that, what you could do is just put in Google.com on a box, the Google Search Appliance, and index all those different systems so that they would have just one place to go to be able to search on all the different information they need to get their job done. And to do that, we provide out-of-the-box connectors. So whether it's SharePoint or Documentum, or whether it's some other popular content management tool, we probably have a connector already built and ready to go so you can easily access that system. And if you've built that system on your own, if it's some sort of custom-built application, we can work with our partners to integrate that and create a custom-built connector for that system. So no matter what system you have, we certainly can be able to index that and provide that Google.com experience. And then to do that within the intranet, within secure intranet, what we need to do is integrate with your existing security protocols, your security architecture. And if you look at our customers, you'll notice that most of our customers are in a couple areas, in government and in banking. And of course, government and banking, they have normally the most strict policies in terms of security and privacy. So as we mentioned today, Thai Parliament is an excellent example here in Thailand. In other places around the region, you have banks like Standard Chartered and government organizations like GIC in Singapore, all using the Google Search Appliance to search for information on the secure intranet. And so we've had to integrate with their Active Directory, their single sign-on, or whatever security protocol they have in place, so that when a user searches for information, they can only see the information that they're normally allowed to see. So for example, if I'm the VP of HR and I search on salary information and I'm allowed to see that information, that'll appear in a search. if I'm a new employee and I shouldn't have access to that information, then I'll search on salary information and I will see no results. So again, users are only able to see what they're supposed to see. Now, for those of you who have either invested in alternative systems or are considering them, think about this. The alternatives that you have in the market are very similar to sort of traditional software systems in that they normally require a huge amount of maintenance. They require you to build a network of different servers, whether it's an index server or a storage server, and normally requires lots of people to maintain them. So in a typical environment on the intranet, when people are looking at some sort of alternative solution, they probably have something like 3 to 5 people and a whole myriad of different servers trying to replicate the experience of Google.com. And what Google's offering is that experience on a box that you simply plug into your data center, right into a standard rack unit, and then from day one, it's indexing information. And it's already starting to provide that experience with minimal configuration. So what we're going to do is I'm going to invite Zach Tan, my colleague, to come up and do a demonstration and to show you a couple examples of how this is used both for the secure intranet as well as the public internet. So, Zach. So first, you're going to start off showing us an example of the intranet with the New York Times, right?
I'm here to do a demo, and I think you've heard a lot of great things from Richard around the technology of Google Search Appliance. And here is an example of a system that it's a demo system that we've built to demonstrate what this could be like for a media publishing company, right? So in this case, we choose to use New York Times, but this could be applicable for any other media publishing company as well. So in this case, for example, because it's a secure search, you need to log in first. So I need to log in as the user. And what this means is when you log in as a user, you typically will be only allowed to see the search results for documents that you are authorized to see. So if like the example what Richard mentioned, if you're not allowed to see salary information, when you search for that in the search box, you will not be able to find information. In this case, what I'm going to do is, supposedly I'm a journalist and I'm working in New York Times and I'm trying to find and work on information, research for new articles. And because you're a media publishing company, you have a lot of information about past historical articles that's being published. So in this case, for example, we know Google and Motorola is actually releasing a new product, and I want to be able to find information about that particular product. I could find all this information directly through the search interface in an instant. This is very similar to Google.com kind of experience, except it has a richer user interface, right? It has more richer information because these are documents that resides within your own repository. So in this case, for example, supposedly the system is segmented into different repositories. In your organization, it might be SharePoint, file server, Documentum, SAP, PLM, CRM, whatever. You could actually use the same Google Search Appliance to then search into each and every of these particular repositories, right? So you could say, I would just want to search for information in the file server. Give me all the documents that's matching this particular keyword. But in line with the concept of universal search, we can actually collate all these search results from the different repositories, get the best 10 relevant documents, and then display that back to the user. With the search appliance, you could also use that to return information in different formats if you want to. So for example, if you want to display it in a grid format, you could do so. In addition to the search results, what you can see from Google Search Appliance user experience is that we have richer metadata that describe the particular documents. Metadata are documents that describe the content of that particular document. And if you have rich metadata, we can use the search appliance to expose some of this information for searches that you want. So for example, if you search for the keyword MotoX, you can actually see some of the information about which journalist within the organization has created the most content. In this case, this particular individual called Peter Maas. And with this information, you could then create powerful content analytics based on this metadata information for every keyword that you use. So in this case, you could see that these are the few journalists that actually has that insights into this particular product. And if I do a search for maybe, for example, iPhone, I will see different journalists. For example, Joyce in this case will probably be a journalist that's very well connected with Apple. And so, for example, if I want to run a story on iPhone 5S, maybe I should just reach out to Joyce and contact her and give her a call and just see whether does she have contacts. So this demo actually hopefully show you the example that search is not just about finding the specific documents, but really it is a very powerful tool for you to be able to use that to leverage the content signals that's within your organization to, for example, in this case, to be able to locate expertise within your organization that you may or may not even be aware of.
Okay. So that's a really good example of intranet search, so in the secure intranet. Can you give us an example of the public-facing internet?
Yep, sure. So one use case that we talked about just now was the intranet use case. For the internet use case, this is a very important scenario as well. Most customers now go to learn about a product or about a brand through the internet, right? So you either go to Google.com or other search engines to type the query and then land onto your page, or you either provide a search interface within your within your homepage to be able to allow your users, your customers, to be able to find information. And creating a compelling search interface is extremely important. So this is an example, again, using the same concept that we talk about of using the similar interface, powered by the same Google Search Appliance technology, creating the 10 relevant most results back to users, allowing users to quickly find information. So this is based on content from the Olympics last year. And for example, if I want to look for football, I could search across all the documents inside my website. Just need to log in first. If I search for football, and I can find all the information related to football here. Again, using the metadata information, I could do some filtering. At the same time, I could then also use the content information to be able to engage with the users. So this will be a track that we have after the break where we talk about geospatial technology. But you could easily embed some of this information into a Google Maps. If you have documents that's geotagged, you have photos that's geotagged, all this represents another insight into information that you may not be able to utilize. Be able to then visualize that onto a map is really, really powerful. And I think earlier, in line with what I talked about in terms of having interfaces that's mobile aware, I'm just going to show you how this will look like on a mobile interface. We talk about the concept of search, accessing information anywhere. And that's really, search is also one of the facets of that, right? So if I do a search on the same content, so if I do a search for football, for example, the mobile interface would automatically adjust so that it actually displays search results in the most complete format, right? So on a tablet which has limited screen estate, I won't be able to see the map, but I could still see the search results that's corresponding to the desktop search. So this actually shows you the importance of creating a compelling search interface that's not just on your website, but also optimized for the mobile form factor. Right.
So what we've seen is really two great examples. First, an example of secure intranet search, and then we saw an example of how we could use Google.com on the public-facing website to better engage your customers and hopefully turn them into leads and prospects. So thank you very much, Zach, for your time. And thank you, everyone.